everyone, Sarah the Catholic Homemaker here. Today I'm doing a book review on No Drama Discipline. It's a book by Daniel J. Siegel, MD, and Tina Payne Bryson, PhD. The subtitle is The Whole Brain Way to Calm the Chaos and Nurture Your Child's Developing Mind. If you aren't aware, this book is a gentle parenting book, also known as respectful parenting. And I have known about this parenting philosophy for a few years now. And I can honestly say that it truly works, especially if you try to implement it. I have tried other traditional parenting methods in the past when my oldest started to get a little older, and I kind of knew about gentle parenting then, but I hadn't read any books about it. I'd just seen kind of blurbs and Facebook groups I had been part of, but been kind of confused. And then I actually started to dig into it and implement it, and it made so much sense to me. It's actually based on science, and my own mother has actually affirmed this too. She took psychology classes in college, and it taught her these types of parenting methods based on science and psychology, and they truly work. Some of the methods are actually used in daycares and schools to this day, like redirection. So some of these things are kind of implemented into the mainstream, but not everything. And some of the traditional methods that I used in the past was yelling, and I'm not perfect about that. I will say sometimes I kind of lose my temper and I end up regretting it, but I am constantly trying to improve and learn from everything. And that's one of the things that this book talks about, your higher brain or your upstairs brain versus your downstairs brain. I would say that it truly works, and let's go ahead and jump into it. Gentle parenting is all about proactive parenting, and that's teaching our kids to delay gratification, practice social skills, and practice a healthy way of expressing emotion. And it involves teaching what to do, not only just what not to do, but definitely also teaching them what to do, so that you're not just simply saying no to everything, but you're teaching them the right way to do things. How to deal with limits and boundaries, teaching them what it means to be human, and morality, ethics, and how to be empathic and kind to others. But it teaches that you need to prioritize your relationship with your child. And if your relationship is ever damaged from, say, things like yelling or whatever else you may do, definitely reconnect right away. You may need to ask yourself this question: is the goal of discipline punishment or doling out consequences? Or is it the opportunity for you to teach your child right from wrong, morality, how to correct and maybe prevent the behavior altogether, and create overall empathy? Now, with little children, I have read that it actually takes until about 7 years old for a child to develop true empathy. Not to say that they can't ever develop it before then, but this is something to keep in mind when you are disciplining your children, especially your younger children, is that sometimes it is a maturity issue, and what you are expecting of your child may not be age appropriate. So I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, so they're definitely far below the age of 7, and sometimes I have to step back from my own expectations and think, well, is this simply too hard for them to understand at this age? And not to say that you can't do anything. You can definitely, in those moments, teach them what is right. And you're constantly coaching and training them throughout this process what is right from wrong. And again, you have to ask yourself, is discipline all about punishment? It truly isn't. In the moment, you may be angry and you're like, how dare they do this, da 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 da, in your head. But sometimes it advises in the book that you may need to step back from this moment and not be so reactive, because being reactive is actually not helpful in the long run to this behavior, because the goal of this all is to teach your children to be empathic, kind, moral human beings. And that may not happen in the short term, but that is the long-term goal of all of this. And one term that they talk about in this book is called mindsight, and that is the title of one of the books of Daniel Siegel. Mindsight is the ability to see our own mind as well as the mind of another. It allows us to develop meaningful relationships. And there are 3 principles of mindsight. The first is teaching. The second is wait until your child is ready. And the third is be consistent, not rigid. So there may be times when you need to make exceptions to your rule. And one example they gave is you may have a rule of doing homework before dinner or whatever it is. But let's say this is kind of a special occasion and the grandparents are coming over and they're about to come over. Your kids have not finished their homework, but they gave the example of this to show that, yes, normally you would stay consistent and say, yes, you have to finish your homework before you do this next activity. But because it was their grandparents, it's a special occasion, they were encouraging parents in this example to not be rigid. So there's sometimes where you may need to be a little bit flexible, and that does not mean that you are allowing your kids to get away with things. It's just being a little bit flexible with certain situations. And there are 3 outcomes when you do something called redirecting. Redirecting is when your child is doing a certain behavior, but you're trying to redirect them to a better behavior. And those outcomes are, number 1, insight. It helps develop personal insight. Number 2 is empathy. And number 3 is integration and the repair of ruptures. Is gentle parenting permissive parenting? It definitely is not permissive. It is the opposite of that. It's not allowing the child to get away with things. It is teaching them or redirecting them to the right behavior. Remember, the goal is not to punish, but to teach and to model for your child for them to do the right behavior. There was an article I just read within the past few days, and it's all about Saints Louis and Zélie Martin, who were the parents of Saint Therese of Lisieux. And Saint Zélie was writing about one of her children that overall she was just saying she never let her get away with anything. And that was not saying that she used corporal punishment, but I just wanted to use that example because Saints Louis and Zélie Martin are really wonderful examples of parents. They're just kind of rare examples of just really great parents in general, and they're really great models of gentle parenting with their children. And I remember reading something about Saint Therese of Lisieux, that she just respected and loved her parents so much that she never wanted to do anything against them. And that is kind of the goal. That's not the overall goal of gentle parenting, like just follow the leader without questioning anything. That's not what Saint Therese was doing, but her parents were such a great example to her. They had such a wonderful connected relationship with their children that they respected them so much that they wanted to do what their parents said. The goal of gentle parenting, as I said, is to teach your children to be moral, ethical human beings, and having respect for your children and your children having respect for you, and teaching them those limits and boundaries. I have one more story I would like to share. I was consulting with our family homeopath for my oldest daughter a while back, and the topic of parenting came up for whatever reason, I cannot remember. But he started to tell me a story about one of his clients where he had this mother and her son in his office, and he has toys in his office for children to play with. And he told me that the son was getting really rough with the toys there, and it was getting to the point where he was about to break like a beloved toy that he had in his family. Yes, he was sharing it with his clients, but it was a beloved toy, and he basically himself had to tell the child to stop it because the mother was not even saying or doing anything as the son was doing this. And he told me this was common with her, that no matter what he was doing, she wouldn't even say no to anything. And I was talking to him about the gentle parenting philosophy that I had read about, and I said, well, I understand about some things about what she's doing, but like, you have to say no at some point to teach them from right from wrong, because how are they going to know? And he was like, yeah, exactly. But I think, unfortunately, gentle parenting can be confused with permissive parenting, which is what that client seemed to be doing with her son. And gentle parenting, as I said, is not permissive parenting. It's definitely teaching your child to do the right thing and teaching them right from wrong, all about morality and ethics. So I hope you have found this video to be helpful, and I definitely want to do more reviews on gentle parenting books. Let me know what you think in the comments, and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel. I would love to grow this channel even bigger, to grow our community, and hit the notification bell for all notifications so you'll know when I post. Until next time, bye, and God bless you.